Hey all, I'm Lucas. I want to talk comics. Today, I want to talk about a new series that just concluded its first arc, its first book, as they like to call it, that came out in 2025. And of course, I'm talking about the newly released Bug Wars from Image Comics. Bug Wars is written by Jason Aaron, drawn by Mahmoud Asrar, colored by Matthew Wilson, lettered and designed by Becca Carey, edited by Heather Antos, and of course published by Image Comics. The first book, the first 6 issues of Bug Wars, is known as Lost in the Yard, and that is exactly where we find our main character, Slade Slaymaker. Slade Slaymaker, he finds an amulet that was previously owned by his father, and he is sucked down into his backyard, where there are many races of different types of bugs fighting for control of the yard, and he's kind of at the center of it, being known as the World Stomper, since he can go between large size and small size. In my opinion, issue 1 and issue 2 are pretty strong, setting things up. And then in issues 3 and issues 4, we start to slow down just a little bit. Some of the cons that I have with this book really pop their heads up in issue 3 and 4. 5 is a lot stronger because it's setting up the conclusion. And then 6, in my opinion, was a pretty awesome book, between heartfelt moments and great action and great gore art that's in here. Really set things up for the future of Bug Wars. I thought this was a really strong conclusion and a really strong issue. The plot and the storyline that's going on in the first book of Bug Wars is pretty solid. I mean, it is setting up a lot. It definitely feels like this is the beginning. This is where everything's going to get started. We're going to introduce you to a bunch of information, and then we're going to build on it in subsequent books down the road. And I believe they've already announced that book 2 is coming out, I believe, next year. We're getting an extra one-off about one of the characters coming up soon. So the plot-wise in this book, not the best, but it does what it needs to do in setting up and creating this fantastic world and getting us excited for what's more to come and how he can expand upon it more in the future. Generally speaking about Bug Wars, there's a ton that I love about it. There's a lot going on, and a few things that I'm not so crazy about that kind of take me out of it. To start with the pros, I mean, first off, the artwork in these books are really good. Mahmoud Asrar does a fantastic job of getting the gore and the violence of this world. I mean, most people are referring this to as like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Game of Thrones. So of course there's going to be violence, and there's going to be some gore and some extra details that need to be involved in there. Some panels I'm not going to show you because YouTube might get mad. But look at this artwork here of Slade and the Spider Queen riding a frog through the yard, going to battle, and some great designs for original characters of different strengths of bugs, different races of bugs, these anthropomorphic stylings of the bugs. The artwork is fantastic. It is top tier. Another great thing that I loved about Bug Wars is the action, like you can see here in issue 2, where we're introduced to the Blood Hole, where all the different races of bugs fight each other, they take on each other, and then of course in issue 1, when we open up, kind of setting up the world, we get these cool panels of different bugs kind of going at each other, and then on the next page, we start to see some of the gore that comes through with people's heads getting chopped off, flying through the air. Great stuff. Just great stuff when it comes to the action in this book. And one of the absolute best things about this book is the world that Jason Aaron has created. In 6 issues, he packed up so much detail, so many intricacies, and a lot of that is helped out by, in the back of almost every issue, is notes from Jim's father's book. He's written down, like, here's a map of the yard. I mean, what fantasy series without a map isn't, fantastic? But then there's also like extra added details in the back of these books explaining the different races of bugs and how they got into power and what they do, and like more information. And every single issue has some type of extra information on the back. And I like the little added details of, like, this one has some fake coffee stains on it, because his dad was working through it. And that kind of leads me into some of the issues that I have with Bug Wars, and most of it has to do with the writing. Sometimes it feels a little underbaked, sometimes it feels a little immature. For instance, on this spread that I showed you earlier, on this one page, the F-bomb is dropped 4 times, and then it's dropped 2 more times on the next page, and I'm not trying to be prude or anything like that. Lord knows that I drop the F-bomb myself way more than I probably should. I don't have a general issue with the word, but when it pops up that much, I feel like it loses some of its power and it starts to stick out and kind of takes me out of the writing. At the end of issue 1, like the big climactic point, he tells somebody to go F their face. And to me, kind of cool, but also after reading the rest, like going back and kind of skimming through it, you're like, oh, it was kind of always there from the beginning. So again, not that I'm prude. I don't mind it. Like, language doesn't bother me. Like I said, probably say it way too much myself. When you're trying to read in the context of it, when it just keeps popping up, sticks out, sore thumb, makes me come out of it. Which is kind of crazy because I really enjoy Jason Aaron's writing in Absolute Superman. I think it's top notch. I love his writing in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just fantastic stuff there. And I don't want to spoil a potential video down the line, but the writing in Godzilla vs. Thor wipes the floor with all the other Marvel vs. Godzilla books that were coming out earlier this year. And it doesn't even have to do with swearing in particular. Like in book 6, when we're trying to bring everything home, Slade is having a conversation, a pretty heartfelt conversation with a character that I don't want to spoil, but the text bubble reads, "Be patient with the amulet. It has to learn to trust you. Don't rush it. It's like pleasuring a... Sorry, forget I said that." And it just kind of like really ripped me out of this really good 2-page spread. And I just like, why does that have to be there? Again, not trying to be prude, but it just sucks me out of it so much in this world that he's built that is so awesome. And that kind of ties into my next point, where some of the art just feels unnecessary. A lot of nudity, a lot of excess body parts that are kind of tossed in here, even just in the background. And again, not trying to be prude. Lord knows I bought some covers just for the sake of buying covers. When he's building this entire world, every time that popped up, it just ripped me out of it, made me roll my eyes, especially in like the 3rd and 4th issue, whenever we're kind of trudging along a little bit, when the pacing kind of slows down. Having all that excess stuff in there just really, really took me out of it and made me question, like, why was it being written this way? Like, what does this add? It doesn't really add anything. It's kind of like fan service in anime. Some people really like it, some people really don't. Some people end up in the middle, but again, just, it felt out of place. It felt off. It kind of felt like, at times, an 8th grader that just watched their first adult video and said the F word for the first time, and then that becomes their whole personality. So in those instances, when the text takes you out of the story, that's when it kind of clicks, like the main character's name is Slade Slaymaker. Feels weird, feels awkward. Or the lawnmower is known as the Anaya Razor, and He Who Lays Waste to the Grass. All those titles, in context, when you're sucked into it, awesome, great, love it. But when you get pulled out for a second, it kind of makes it, again, come off a little underbaked, a little immature, a little unfinished. So that's what I don't like about the writing, is when it pulls me out of it and then everything else kind of suffers because of it. Again, I really like his writing in these other books that I mentioned earlier, but I did love the world that he set up, and I'll probably continue reading it. I can push through it. I can push through it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have the problems that I have reading reviews on League of Comic Geeks and stuff like that. A lot of people are totally into it, and they have no qualms with the writing and that stuff whatsoever, and I can see that. Like I said, I'm no prude. I have no issues with it in the long run. When the frequency of it pops up is whenever I start to have issues with it. So do I think you should read Jason Aaron's Bug Wars? I think you should. I think there's a lot to like here, and I think if you can get through some of the issues that I had and stuff like that, I think there's a lot to love. There's a fantastic world being built, all these different races and stuff, so many potential storylines that can come through that I think it's worth the investment. And I think he's shown that he's got a plan, he's got an idea of how he wants this to go, and I look forward to more from Jason Aaron when it comes to Bug Wars. Have you read Bug Wars, or do you have your eye on the trade paperback coming out here soon? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, make sure you like the video and subscribe so you know the next time I put out a video. It really helps out the channel. But that's going to do it for me. This has been Bug Wars by Jason Aaron, book 1. Overall, pretty solid time. Excited for more to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.